Hey, how are you?
Just a bit anxious. I feel like I'm like I'm out of control.
Is there anything I can do to help?
Can you come to my room?
I'll come now.
Okay, thank you. I've been diagnosed with OCD, tics, depression, anxiety and conversion disorder for 3.5 years. And living in this warped COVID world, it's been a challenge for me and my whole family in different ways. I wouldn't wish it on anyone to live with any kind of mental illness, but in a weird way, it can be easier when those close to you are able to relate. And for me, that is my sister. She's my best friend and the one I know I can always call on, and it does help that I know she gets me no matter what.
You all right?
You're a wizard, Ari. Officially, I am diagnosed with tic disorder, anxiety, depression, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and conversion disorder. Wrong. Wrong again. Technically, I have Tourette's, but it's been not diagnosed yet.
Sorry, my brain is staring and I can't stop it.
You're good.
Do the shadow and we're good.
I'm not the only one in the family who has some mental health problems. Ella has anxiety and OCD.
Is it nice and organised?
No.
Did you find... Oh, yeah, you found the one that I had in there for you.
My family is like a little bit chaotic, but it always just works out and it just feels normal. Bam, like, she's always there for me. I love her. She's my best friend in the world. Like, she knows everything and I know that I can trust her with anything.
I just don't know how you can cope with, like, not wanting to go out, though.
People suck. I want to stay inside.
Yeah, but, like, still, see different people. Otherwise, you're just stuck with me.
No, I walk away from you. I just want to see Dad, Karen, Mum, doggies, cats. Want to see yourself?
No, I really don't.
So in my house, I live with my sister, my mum, my 2 dogs, Harper and Pippa G. And then at my dad's house, I live with my dad, my dad's partner, Karen. I live with my mum and dad 50-50, so I live with my mum for a week and then my dad for a week. Go.
I'm gone.
By that, I mean, can you please go sit down?
Can I just put
No, I can do that. I love cooking.
Apart from when you put your hands on a hot plate.
Yeah, when my tics are bad as well, it can get a little bit messy.
To stop anything bad happening when she's cooking, I do like to sit here just as much as anything to make sure she doesn't cut herself or burn her hands. Because of her tics, she has in the past done both of those things.
Oh, that's hot. My tics first came on 3 years ago. I was at singing practice and my neck started kind of jerking and I said to my mate, hey, I don't know what's up, and we kind of just dismissed it. And my tongue started clicking. That was like, okay, this isn't a muscle spasm. And when we got back to school, I went straight to the sick bay.
I picked her up from school and we took her to A&E and she was within a matter of hours diagnosed with tic disorder. And over the course of about 2 to 3 months, the tics increased in severity. Some of her tics included not being able to open her eyes and see, or she couldn't speak, and she was suffering paralysis. I'd never heard of conversion disorder.
It was really scary for me because it's the strangest feeling because you're so not in control of your body. Happiness. Happiness, happiness. Maybe it's like the saucy Spider-Man. It feels as if somebody just jumps into your body for a minute and just says a few things and does a few bits and then off they pop again. Spider-Man's magic.
You right there, Bamo?
Yeah, good. So there is a bit of a difference between tics and Tourette's. To be diagnosed with Tourette's, you have to be having at least 2 physical and 1 verbal tic for at least a year. Wanker, wanker. You said yes to both of them, eh?
Yes, please. Once we started the therapy, we were able to identify a lot of the OCD traits, which we hadn't realised were OCD. Things that I thought were just normal. For example, Amber always liked to carry her backpack around and that bag contained her life. For me, I didn't see that as a OCD trait, but I know now some of those behaviours were the beginnings for her.
So every single day I unpack my bag and repack it. It's one of my OCD behaviours. I take the craziest amount of toiletries wherever I go. This bag and this bag are completely full of toiletries. I've never needed to use this many toiletries in my whole entire life, but in my OCD brain, it makes more sense than anything, you know? The kind of things that go through my head can be quite severe. Like, if I don't do this, people will get hurt, or if I don't do this, my family and friends are gonna die, or if I don't do this, things are gonna fall to bits, and it all kind of snowballs. And then, along with my issue with catastrophizing, making the worst out of any situation, that snowball can get quite large, and then it just blows up. If I wasn't doing this right now, I wouldn't be able to go to sleep if I hadn't done this, if I hadn't cleared out this bag. I've got so much stuff to do in my head. So my night routine is a lot more intense than my morning routine. I have my shower, and there's a whole entire OCD ritual that goes on there. Once I've gotten out of the shower, I go into my room, and then I crack all my knuckles in certain order on certain days. And then I've got 2 doors in my room, so I have to check that one is closed and locked properly. I never open it, so I don't know why I have to check it. And then I will go and write myself a note for the next day. And then I'll probably check my bag again, check the door again. And then once I'm in bed, I write the alphabet with my feet, with my left foot first and then my right foot. And I write it forwards and backwards, so like flipped.
How are you feeling?
Good.
Are you tired? It sort of became apparent that the OCD was causing a lot of the anxiety was causing the tics, and the tics were causing the paralysis. Would you like me to go and get your melatonin and bring it down to you?
Would you mind?
No. As a parent, it's been really terrifying some days when I don't know or I can't help.
All right, you off to bed?
Yeah.
All right. Love you.
Love you. I think something that Amber and myself and Ella and their dad has had to learn to live with is lack of control.
When she was first diagnosed, I'd do most things either with her or for her just so she didn't have to stress so much. I hate seeing her upset or in pain or struggling or not knowing what to do. I had a pretty good childhood. I mean, I got to do a lot of different things because my parents had very different interests. So, like, we'd get to do lots of girly things with Mum, and then Jules, he's a gardener, Jules is my dad. And so we'd get to go and, like, go in the garden and dig holes and plant new trees. And it's nice seeing photos of Bam when she was little, just, like, seeing how so many of the traits that she has are the same. She's still so funny and just chaotic. She was my role model when I was really struggling. I saw that she was strong and she was getting through it and she was still going to school and she was living, like, her life, even though so many things were trying to hold her back. My anxiety first started impacting me from year 7. If I'm really worried about someone else, I actually get a really sharp stabbing pain, like, in my ribs, to the point that I can't even move. But if it's just, like, my normal anxiety about just whatever my brain's decided, I often can't deal with a lot of thoughts at once. And then when Bam got sick, my anxiety got a lot worse. And then kind of the depression kicked in.
Ella's energy was entirely on Amber, that she didn't seem to be looking after herself. She wouldn't go out. She started having hallucinations.
I would see things and There was a point that I didn't go into my room for 3 days because I thought someone was in there trying to kill me. I was just really struggling, I couldn't function normally, and I just spiraled.
Ella's mental health really improved when we made a decision that she would leave school, on the condition that she got a job or she carried on training. And so she followed her passion and went to makeup school. And her anxiety didn't disappear, but it was so much more manageable for her, and it was the biggest relief to see her happy.
I was around completely different people in a completely different environment, doing very much what I wanted to do, as well as I was learning to drive. I just have a lot more control over my life.
Morning, Bam Bam.
Morning. When I wake up in the morning, I crack my knuckles in a certain order, and then I check my phone, and I check certain apps on certain days in a certain order, and then I crack every single bone in my body that I'm able to. If I didn't crack my knuckles, I think it would just be, like, on my mind. I think I would probably be able to, like, subside the thought for a while, but it would just kind of keep building and building and building, and it'd get to a point where I just need to do it. Good girl.
In the mornings, I try for a path of least resistance. In the evenings, I'll push the OCDs a lot more because I know that at least if she falls to pieces that she's had her school day in, whereas in the mornings, it's kind of like, how do we just make this happen? Hi, love. There are a few things that throw her, for example, maybe like the shoes are on the floor rather than on the chair. And then other days, it could be something major where, you know, she gets into her uniform and then I tell her it's mufti day.
I was just checking if I've got all my gum. I have to have a lot of gum because one of my tics is that I chew my tongue. So I sometimes chew bits of my tongue off, and the only thing that stops that tic is if I have gum to chew on. There's so many things that can happen in that half an hour after I brush my teeth. I get into my uniform and normally like check my bag about 4 or 5 times that I've got the things in it that I do, even though I've already checked like twice that morning and twice the night before I check again.
What's with this tapping of the number 8?
So I just tap 8 on all like parts of my face. If I'm feeling anxious, I also do it on my shoulder bones, and these aren't your shoulder bones, are they? I don't know, shoulders, and sometimes on my hips as well. I don't know why I started doing it a while back. It seems to calm me down, makes me kind of just take a moment and think, because I need to think about how many I'm doing. So, I don't know, it's kind of it seems to help because I just kind of shut off from the world for a second and just have to kind of count and just do a little bit of taking a moment for myself. And it seems like a nice even round number, so I often do that. Any number except for 4 is fine. Going to school after I got diagnosed was really quite hard.
If it gets so overwhelming, get yourself a break.
Yeah.
All right?
Well, it's okay. I've got learning to second period, so we'll be good. It was a really difficult age because you're just coming into intermediate, and it's the time where, you know, you're starting to change and you're wanting to fit in with the rest of the crowd, and then tics pop up and it's like, well, that's going to be impossible to fit in with when you're saying and doing weird things. You know, I'd sit in the back of the class hitting my head so hard because I was having a tic attack. And there were days where I couldn't go to school because my tics were so bad. I had a fair few months there where I was not so happy and I was just kind of trudging along. Now isn't so much of an issue. I'm like, I've got them and I can be happier, I've got them and I can be miserable, so, you know, chose to be happier about it. My OCD has impacted my schooling because how I need to do tests, and it needs to be in order, so I need to go question 1, 2, 3, 4. If I'm struggling with a question, my OCD brain tells me I can't skip that question. I've gotten plenty of not achieves and plenty of failed exams over the years just purely because of that one OCD behaviour.
Deciding to work from home was a massive decision. I've always been a career woman and I worked through having babies and I managed to make it all work, but that just means that I can make sure that Amber can get to school. Also, it isn't uncommon that the school will call me to go and pick her up. And that would be on top of weekly therapy sessions. And her dad, he's self-employed as well. So between us, we always make sure that when she goes to those appointments that she's not having to go on her own. The journey has been exhausting. I guess the shock factor of going from what I felt was a very neuronormal family and literally overnight it all changed. I've considered so many times about what made this happen, and part of my own therapy is actually accepting that these things happen and they're very real, and the society and the environment in which we live, a number of things can trigger people, and especially teenagers.
Try my best, but it's never enough. I'm not smart enough, not strong enough, not pretty enough, not nice enough.
I think it can be completely isolating as a parent. There were days that I'd go to work and I couldn't tell anybody what I was experiencing at home because it just didn't seem believable. I actually went to the GP because I was struggling and was diagnosed with mild depression. And the GP sort of said, in 3 to 4 years, you'll look back and think, this is going to be fine. And I just remember leaving. I was in tears before I even got to the car, thinking, I can't handle another 3 to 4 years of this. I didn't think I was going to make it.
I try my best, yeah, I really do. Mom and Dad, don't you see I'll get through this? Just for you, just for you.
We haven't written a song in so long together.
Fully. No.
Ali is my best friend. I love her to bits. And we haven't seen each other for a while because of the COVID situation. Okay, read it from there, from the top. When Ali and I met, I'd already been diagnosed. So she only ever has known me with tics and anxiety. Titties.
Yep.
Sorry. How do you feel about my tics and stuff? Like, how does that impact you?
You'd have certain tics where you'd like hit your head and all those sorts of things. Like when they're like verbal, I'm not too worried for the most part because, you know, but when they're physical, it worries me, you know, because I know it's not like, obviously it doesn't feel nice for you.
You know, some of my tics aren't like the greatest thing to have.
Or the most appropriate.
Or the most appropriate
Yeah.
to have at school especially. I know it's best if I just let them out.
Yeah.
But yeah, our age, I feel like lots of people try and just blend into the crowd.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of trying to do the same.
Cute.
Sorry.
You're welcome.
So how was lockdown?
It was good. I liked it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I loved being in lockdown. I thought it was just great because it was pretty good for my anxiety, and my tics, which were like...
Was it like weird going back, like out of lockdown?
Yeah, really, really hard. Like I remember that the first day at school was like the absolute worst. I was just like in absolute bits all day long.
Lockdown posed so many different issues for us. Amber actually enjoyed the process of lockdown where she was able to be at home and so she wasn't exposed to all of those other sensory issues and noises and things. So Amber seemed to really improve in lockdown. But for Ella, lockdown really came as a bit of a nasty blow because we had come so far and then that really took her way back to where she was. I probably was more worried about her in lockdown than I have ever been. I just genuinely believed that she'd been on a long enough journey with anxiety that she felt she'd got where she needed to be and all of a sudden everything disappeared from underneath her. It was severe. We were literally, I went back to minute by minute. Let's get to 10 o'clock today, let's get to 11 o'clock today, and then if we get through today, let's get through tomorrow. It was really taking tiny little bite chunks of life and surviving them.
I was worried about my sister because she really struggled in lockdown. Whereas I had a great routine going. I was able to help Ella, which I think has been really helpful for both of us.
It was just getting me up, getting me to have food, whether it was even just bringing me down food and making sure, like, when I was really depressed, trying to get out of bed every day and either get dressed or even if I didn't get dressed, like, go outside and actually do something, make breakfast, like, have some sort of routine so that you don't really slip too much.
Where are we even going, Ella?
French Bay.
French Bay. Oh,
Yacht club.
snazzy.
In the second lockdown, I had a lot more freedom. I've always been someone who loves being around the water, and so the beach kind of just made sense.
Your makeup today is so horrendous. It's just the eyelashes. When I'm looking here, they look like they're like a metre out of your face.
They are a metre out of my
I love driving a lot, so I'll go to the beach, I'll go for a run with the dogs. And my makeup, I know that my makeup is always kind of something that I can do just to relax and kind of get back to a good place.
Need to draw attention. Let's keep this Batmobile in stealth mode.
I was just like, I know. You really want to go, huh?
I don't really know what I put here for. Lying with my head on the bedroom floor.
They are incredibly close, and it's just beautiful watching them together. And sometimes their sister has been the only other person that understood them.
Even up until about 6 months ago, I felt a lot of guilt for all of Ella's problems. And I still have those days where I'm like, oh, you know, it's my fault that she has this. Because it seemed as if neither of us had, like, insane amounts of problems until I got tics and anxiety, and she was just my rock. She was there day in, day out.
It's important that she knows that nothing I've gone through is because of her. I would never want her to feel that way. She's my best friend in the world.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Hey, honey.
Good, thank you. And you?
I'm good, thanks, Pam.
When I was diagnosed, I had nobody to look up to. I had nobody to look at and for them to say, you're not the only one. I want to be the person that for a new ticker, for somebody who's just been diagnosed with anxiety or whatever, I want to be that person that they can look up to and go, okay, at least I'm not the only one. Back up the truck. Beep, beep. Holly, she's developed very severe tics. It's just been really great to be able to be that person that she can text and go, did you ever struggle with this? Or, you know, did you ever have a problem with this?
I've got some cake. We'll sit at the table.
Don't give it to the other kid with tics.
I know.
I just thought about that and I was like, oh, actually, that
Should I move it over here? So after Holly's last tic attack, when I messaged you and I said, you know, how do I calm her down? And you said the best way to calm Holly down is to play music. So I thought, you know, meditation, something calming. Holly said, no, Mum, that's not going to work for me, and then put on this god-awful... what was it, Holly?
It was heavy metal screaming. You know? Yeah, but I had a sore neck after it because I was like...
Yeah, I bet.
Had a sore neck.
Yeah.
Obviously, the other thing that sets me off is you.
Where are my pants?
They're over there!
Woo, woo. Thank you.
Holly's picked up a few of your tics, Bam.
Has she? Oh,
Which
really?
one's, Holly?
Excuse me.
That one?
That's definitely one of yours.
That's one of my ones, yeah. That's not one of my ones.
I think she's modified that one.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not my one.
So how was lockdown, Holly?
Shrek is my love. All hail Shrek!
Shrek, we worship you.
Yeah! Good, because I don't really like communicating with people on the outside of the house
Your bubble?
barriers.
Nice. Me too, man.
I met Holly's mum because she joined the Tourette's Association, and I actually reached out to her. It was just lovely to be able to reassure her that we've been through something similar and we're still here and we're positive.
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm all right. How are you doing?
I think it's exhaustion.
Yeah?
But I think some days are just... it sounds horrible, but actually I look forward to her going to bed. To just give her a bit of peace and give us a bit of peace.
I can't say that that feeling will go away. I still find at the end of the day that there is sort of that moment of pure relief. Are you looking after yourself?
I look after myself by keeping busy, but I'd have to say I probably cried myself to sleep more times than I can remember this year.
Yeah.
You know, there are just times where it's just so hard.
During lockdown, I was cleaning out my wardrobe and I got rid of some clothes that I haven't worn since obviously 3 years ago, and discovered that most of them had tissues in the pockets, and, you know, it made me cry again just to remember that every day I'd have to go out with tissues because that was my reality. And, you know, trying to hide the tears when you're at work or at the most random of places, crying in the car so someone can't see you. It changes. One of the pieces of advice that I do have for other parents going through this is to not spend time on what you've done wrong, actually focusing on where you're at.
Like, I know it's hard and I know it seems like you'll never get through it. But you'll come out the other side and that feeling of joy and stuff may feel so unrealistic and so far away, but it'll come and it'll be great.
I lost hope probably more times than I count, but I have a lot of hope today. I think where we're at is in a really positive place right now. My girls are amazing. They've taught me so much, and I just admire the days when they get up and carry on when they just don't feel like it. They're amazing.
I'm very lucky, like, what I've been through. Like, it has made me grow so much as a person. And I think at some point everyone struggles, and the fact that I got through it and now I'm here, I can be like, I can do this.
For a while there, it was kind of like I never thought I'd feel joy, but I've learned about how strong I can be. I've regained happiness, I think, just general joy.
Just for